Hey everyone, welcome again to Meeting Recap Roundtable. My name is Tom Lord, and with me today I have the fabulous Chris Lattice Drake, the water girl Brandy James, and the man that fits the bill, Phil Lantry. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the special election that's coming up. Chris, why don't you fill us in with some of the details?
So last month on October 5th, I believe it was,
yes,
we had 5 candidates that ran for seat 3 for city council. Unfortunately, it was vacated by the passing of the great Chuck Cooper. And unfortunately, that's why we had to have a special election. 5 residents threw their hat in the ring, and now after the election, we are down to 2 of those candidates. Mr. Phil, who fits the bill, was one of the 5 candidates who I believe came in 3rd there, correct?
That's correct.
Very, very commendable for your first time.
Thank you.
And I want to say, I think that Phil had some really great points that he put out there. I think he's a fantastic guy, and maybe we'll look for some great things in the future, hopefully, right?
Possibly. I haven't decided anything yet, but we'll see.
Yeah. So we want to discuss today, just kind of on our own platform, what we think is kind of important to us as voters and as residents, and what we want to see for the city, and what I think personally we all kind of feel is important to look at for each and every candidate. So I guess I'll start if you guys want. That's fine.
Sure.
So for me, I think one of the things that I know I personally suffer from, as well as Brandy, is the dirty water issue. Every single one of us is affected by the infrastructure, the growth, and the traffic. I think one of the other things that's huge and important to me personally is local business. I know we as a group at Save St. Cloud, we're always eating at local restaurants, we're supporting local business, we shop local, we support a lot of local things.
Spend a lot of our money here.
We do. And so for me personally, one of the things is local business. So with that being said and done for, after having done the research, I think my conclusion is, for me as a voter, the best candidate for me would be Jose Martinez. A few of the reasons that I think he fits my bill is as a small business owner, he has decided to keep his headquarters here locally in St. Cloud, and he employs over 500 people, which I think is either equal to or a little bit more than what the city of St. Cloud themselves employ.
I think it's more.
I think it is more.
Yeah.
And I know personally that Jose has owned several businesses in the city or the county, and the entire time he's lived here as a resident. So I know he's quite business savvy for some time. This is his first business or anything of the such. With this particular business, the reason that it really speaks to me is he owns locations from San Diego all the way to my hometown of Philadelphia. And I know that he can literally locate and relocate his headquarters at any of those places. So for him to keep his base here is huge for me.
Yeah.
And I know that it's a lot of people here locally he's employing. It's keeping that tax base here. And as we've discussed 100 times over in our shows, that when you spend locally, 67 cents of every dollar stays in your town, stays local. And to me, that's huge. Especially with the pandemic having happened, and you see a lot of places closing and they're struggling to stay. One of the other things I know is that Mr. Martinez lives close to where we have had some water issues. And so I haven't spoken with him directly about whether the water has affected him, but I know he's been very vocally supportive on what he thinks that he would be able to do going forward when the votes come to help obtain clean water for us. So that's just me. So Brandy, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to parrot a lot of what you say because those are all great points. Obviously, first and foremost, the water is the most important thing to me. It is something that has affected me tremendously throughout the last 5.5 years, and many other local residents. I think it's really important that we have someone that has a plan, because what's been happening within the city government right now seems like just kind of like throwing things in the ring and seeing if they stick.
True.
And it hasn't been fully effective. I mean, obviously they've made some ground on this situation, but we don't have clean water yet, and there's no end in sight. I've had the opportunity to speak to Jose multiple times. I think that his vision for this town is a great one, and I think he truly cares about the community and the people here. And he doesn't just say those things. He gets out there and he does it, and it's incredibly commendable. While you haven't come out and endorsed Jose in the past, I have. I've donated to his campaign, so my endorsement is obviously still the same. And I'm really excited. I think it's a good thing.
It's good changes, I think.
Yeah.
All right, well, so my turn. Okay, so I've been kind of torn in the primary only because I didn't want to come across looking like, and I know some people tried to frame that Save St. Cloud was behind one candidate the whole time, and that was not the case. I know that myself and Chris Lattice Drake tried to stay as neutral as we could to give each candidate a chance to win us over. We interviewed candidates. Well, Chris interviewed them. I was behind the camera. We all love Phil. We know Phil. And he ran a respectable race by far at this point. And we all know Colby at this point too. And he's a nice guy. We're not going to say anything bad about him. You know, he really is a nice guy. I like him personally. But I don't feel he is ready.
Yeah. That's fair. That's a fair
You
assessment.
know, I don't feel he's ready. And like you had mentioned, I see the things that Jose has done. I see the way he's run his business. He is an American success story.
He is.
And, you know, I would like to see some of that business mindset at our city hall.
I agree.
Yeah.
You know what I
Something
mean?
that's a change. And I think one of the things we also got to mention, we forgot to mention, or I forgot to mention, I'm so sorry, and definitely Phil, we want your time too, but I think one of the things that speaks to me is he's raising children in this community that he, you know, not one, not two, but he, you know, he stayed in this community and he's been supportive. I know he's incredibly active with his family. He is so supportive of his family. He does a lot of things in the community with his family.
Yeah.
He started a nonprofit to try to help out with giving back to the community, and he's been very vocal that he wants to have, you know, his generations, his legacy essentially stay in this city.
Well, and I think one of the things that we love so much about Chuck Cooper is you would always see him around town.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like you could go into a restaurant any time of the day, any day of the week, and you'll run into Chuck Cooper.
True.
And Jose is very much the same thing.
Yep.
You walk around, and Phil too, you know?
Yeah.
You're with us all the time when we're supporting local businesses.
Yep.
It's something that's so refreshing because any of the other people on the current board, you're not going to see them in town.
I've seen one or two of the city council members out and about. Usually it's Councilman Trace. I've seen
Oh
supporting
yeah,
local
Trace.
business.
Yes, I have seen Trace.
And I think I've seen, you know, Mr. Askew one or two times, but for the most part, yeah, supporting, you know, that's, and we've lived in this community for a long time, all of us. I mean, I've known Phil 9-10 years
Yeah.
now.
I was born and raised in Osceola County, so it's.
Yeah, so I do want to share my thoughts a little bit. You know, I just want to clarify and say that I'm not here today to endorse either Colby or Jose directly, or, you know, although I do want to say that both of them were very respectful and, you know, they ran a good, clean campaign. We all got along. We had conversations with each other. But really what I'm here to do today is talk about what's important to me for the city council. And this is going to basically be echoing what I've said in my campaign. What's most important to me is that whoever we elect into this position, that they're going to be a voice for the people. I think that's really the most important thing is, as you know, they're filling Chuck Cooper's seat, and he was known as being a voice for the people,
Yes.
and not just fulfilling his own wants and desires. And so that's most important for me. And I think that most of the people here, the biggest concerns we have is the water as one, but also the growth, you know, with traffic and the infrastructure. You know, I think it's really important that as we grow, that we grow responsibly and we don't just approve,
Everything.
you know, housing only, but we look at the big picture. You know, St. Cloud has a very good conceptual master plan in place. And I've said this in city council meetings that I just don't feel that we're following that master plan.
Mm-hmm.
And the master plan, you know, is important because it has a balance of residential, commercial, civic spaces, and that sort of thing, so that when we grow, you're making communities more self-sustainable.
Right.
And you're not requiring that it's just a bedroom community and
Right.
people have to drive everywhere for everything.
Right.
So, you know, that's a huge thing for me. Also, you know, we have this lakefront master plan that we're looking at, and I've asked both Colby and Jose to, you know, let the voters know what their position is on it. I was clear with my position. I don't think that we need a seaplane base here in St. Cloud. I don't think it fits in with our context that we have here at this time. And so, you know, I think it's important that they vocalize what their opinion is on that for the voters, and I think that would be really important to know.
Well, I know personally, I spoke with Jose about that, and he had some positives, and he had some some thoughts on the lakefront, and he was telling me that there were some things that he felt to be positive, like myself. I mean, we don't.
And I agree with that too.
Yeah.
I think there is some
Some
really
positive.
nice amenities,
Sure.
especially with the walkways
Yeah.
Yeah.
and possibly the amphitheater space, the outdoor space, and some of the the kayak launch and the extra boat ramp. Some of those I think are good ideas.
Yeah.
But then some of them I'm a little concerned about, like the hotel and the maybe the civic space a little bit. My concern with some of that development at the lakefront is that we're going to take our sights off of the downtown
Our
area.
space away.
Yeah, I really think that we've been moving towards growing downtown
That's
and revitalizing downtown. And I almost feel that if we start to focus on the lakefront, we're going to lose
A little
the
bit of
focus on the
momentum.
downtown.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's a big concern of mine because I do care about the businesses here downtown. I care about the vibrancy of the downtown area and the character, and I think that we need to continue to work on that, and grow the downtown, and I don't mean grow like let's put a bunch of buildings there,
No.
but I mean let's look at ways
Have
that we can make
thriving
it better
businesses.
and bring in new businesses,
Right.
and more professional businesses, especially for the people that live here, that can work there, that can visit the businesses and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we definitely need to focus on bringing businesses in that bring people downtown, because that's the idea behind all of this is to get that bustling and give people a reason to even come here, to even need a seaplane base. Because right now there's nothing in downtown, and I know they have that plan to for Florida Avenue to come down, but for right now, there's a couple of decent restaurants, and beyond that, I mean, a couple of good, cute little clothing shops and knick-knack shops, but nothing there is like, I'm coming out of my way to get there.
That seaplane base is not here for the residents of St. Cloud.
Well,
That seaplane base is coming for other people.
right.
It's coming for outsiders, for tourists. That's the point.
Well, that brings me back to what we were discussing earlier as well. Who's pushing for that? And then, that's one of the things too that, we have discussed with Phil, and we've discussed amongst each other too.
Yeah.
Who's pushing for that? And if that's something that you feel isn't something that's gonna be productive for the community, that portion of it. Like I said, there are positives on the lakefront. There's always room for positive growth, and there's always room for improvement. But I have to say that you have to take a look at that, and then maybe look at who's contributing to certain folks' campaign, like we discussed.
Absolutely.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think that's
that's a really
something
good
we've
point.
always told the voters is to
Right.
go to the Supervisor of Elections website and look at campaign contributors. And right there, that should tell you a great story of who you should support
Of
and
change.
who you shouldn't.
Right, change
Yeah.
versus,
Yeah,
stagnance.
if you're not happy with what's been going on within St. Cloud and Osceola County, definitely take a look at the donor list, because it's gonna speak volumes as to whether you're gonna see a difference or not.
Yeah,
That's true.
without a doubt.
That's true. And then to go back to real fast to the rejuvenation of downtown St. Cloud, who better than a long-term businessman who's quite the self-success story? I mean, to me, that, again, like I said, that's one of the major reasons why I'm looking at, at Jose, because I just feel like he has so much to bring to the table in that fashion. I know he started working with the chamber as well, trying to help, stimulate and get everything going with the small businesses, which, that's huge.
I mean, he's
Yeah.
in the heart of downtown.
Oh,
St. Cloud.
absolutely.
New York
And 10.
and 10th Street.
Everything
That's
affects
where-
him.
So he
Yeah.
has a vested interest in making sure that the downtown is a thriving
Absolutely.
space,
Absolutely.
I think it's really important that all of the voters, don't just look at someone's mailer that you get in the mailbox. Look at what they stand for. Look at what they do in the community. Look at what their values are. I mean, I think that's really a lot more important than who's endorsing them or anything like that. I mean,
Right.
it's really about do they support the type of values that you have as a voter, and I think that's the most important, because
Absolutely.
ultimately it should be a seat for the people. It should be a seat for the voters here, for the residents,
Right.
right?
and that's why it's so important to look at what their values are.